thing we can be certain of is that we'll all have life-altering events. Not everybody moves beyond the event, especially when the event is caused by you. In 2006, I sat before a university discipline committee charged with intellectual dishonesty, a second-year university student. The law school had just finished telling the committee that they thought an appropriate sanction should include expulsion. When the adjudicator turned to me and said, "Do you have anything you'd like to add, Miss Adams?" With a lump in my throat and full of shame, tears rolling down my face, all I could manage was, I had lost my voice. I had lost my ability to self-advocate. I didn't need to wait 2 weeks for them to decide what they were going to do. I had already judged myself. And the next morning, I quit law school. 2 weeks later, I ended up in a psychologist's chair, severely depressed. Time travel, that's what I would call my journey with the psychologist. Inasmuch as I wanted to move forward away from that event and forget all about everything that surrounded it, she, in her wisdom, knew that I had to move back. Not just to the event, but back to events in my life that had shaped who I was and who I was when I walked through the doors at law school. Who was I? I was a 43-year-old, legally blind, single mother. That's who I was. I was not a traditional law student. And I survived that year like I had survived the rest of my life. Since I was 12 years old, I have been taking care of myself. I was hypervigilant, I kept my head down, I stayed out of trouble, and I worked hard. You can imagine what a surprise it was on the last day of the year. I had already finished 6 exams and was in my 7th exam. When the professor walks up to me, as we're about 3/4 through, and he says, "What are you doing with that book?" I didn't know what to say. You see, I had been cutting corners during the year in my reading. Vision loss was starting to interfere with how quickly I read. And I started cutting out things that I didn't need. Well, if I would have read the cover of that exam, I would have known that that book wasn't allowed. But I didn't read it. I couldn't say I made a mistake. I couldn't really say anything. So I did the best I could. And the best got me into trouble. That's how I ended up in front of that Senate Discipline Committee hearing that day. And now I've come full circle. And if I were back there and they said, "Ms. Adams, do you have anything to add?" I would say, "Of course I have something to add. Wait till I get started. I have a lot to tell you." But you know what? We don't get do-overs. We don't get to take the best of ourselves back into a bad situation. It's gone. It's finished. What I do get to do, though, is tell you what I've learned because of that experience. Falling down isn't a tragedy in life. There are a lot of lessons to learn or to be learned as the wagon pulls away. The tragedy in life is not getting back up, and I won't let that